You're watching a Formula One car cross the finish line, and here's what most fans don't realize. More than a third of its power isn't coming from the engine you can hear. It's coming from a sophisticated hybrid system so complex that it took engineers years to perfect. Today, we're breaking down the ERS, the battery and the electric motors that transformed modern F1 into something we've never seen before. And here's why it matters. In modern Formula One, understanding hybrids isn't just about curiosity. It's about understanding who wins championships. A tenth of a second in qualifying, a crucial overtake on lap 40, a tyre that lives 5 laps longer than your rivals. These margins often come down to hybrid efficiency, not just driver skill. Teams like Mercedes and Red Bull have built entire championships on mastering energy recovery and deployment, on knowing precisely when to harvest power and when to unleash it. The driver who wastes energy loses track position. The team that optimizes their battery strategy wins races. In the past decade, the hybrid system has become the great equalizer and the great differentiator all at once, and the engineers who crack it gain an advantage worth millions. So, let's unlock how this technology actually works, because once you understand it, you'll never watch a Formula One race the same way again. Picture this: a Formula One car braking into a corner at 200 miles per hour, and instead of that enormous kinetic energy simply vanishing as heat in the brake discs, the car is actually capturing it, storing it, and then using it to fire down the next straight faster than physics should allow. That's the magic of the hybrid system, and it all starts with two clever devices called the motor generator units, or MGUs, and yes, there are actually two of them working in tandem. The first MGU is attached to the turbocharger itself, spinning with it at mind-bending speeds, sometimes over 100,000 revolutions per minute. When the turbo is working hard, compressing air into the engine, this MGU is also turning, generating electricity from that rotational energy. Think of it as a second heart pumping power out of what would otherwise be wasted spinning motion. The second MGU sits on the rear axle, connected directly to the gearbox. This one is the showstopper. When the driver hits the brakes, and modern F1 brakes are so powerful they can decelerate a car from 200 miles per hour to 80 miles per hour in just 4 seconds, all that energy wants to go somewhere. Traditionally, it became scorching heat. Now, that MGU spins backward with the wheels, converting that deceleration into electricity. But here's the trick. You can't store unlimited electricity in the battery pack tucked behind the driver's seat, can you? There's a strict regulation. Just 4 megajoules of energy per lap. That's about enough to power your home for 3 minutes, stored in a package the size of a small briefcase. So the engineers have to be surgeons about it. They harvest when they can, especially under heavy braking or coasting, and they deploy that power with surgical precision. When the driver exits the corner and asks for full power, the MGUK on the rear axle can instantly add an extra 160 horsepower for about 30 seconds per lap. That's the howl you hear on the straights, that extra rush that makes overtaking possible. The MGUH on the turbo is even more complex, because it has to balance 3 jobs at once. Harvest energy from boost that would otherwise go nowhere, store it, and then deploy it to keep the turbo spinning fast, even when the driver is off the throttle, eliminating the usual lag you'd feel in a normal turbocharged car. Temperature matters enormously. In the heat of battle with drivers pushing flat out, the battery temperature can climb toward its limits, and if it overheats, the system throttles back, meaning you lose power exactly when you need it most. Mercedes famously mastered battery temperature management, which is one reason they won 8 consecutive championships. The driver feels all of this. A great driver knows the battery state of charge lap by lap, knows when to coast to preserve energy, when to brake hard to harvest, when to deploy everything on the straight they've chosen for their pass. It's not just right foot and left foot anymore. It's a 3-dimensional puzzle, where energy is the 4th dimension. Let's look at where this technology has actually decided races, because hybrid power isn't just theoretical. It's changed the very outcome of Formula One championships. Take the 2016 season, when Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes were fighting Nico Rosberg for the title. The hybrid system's efficiency, especially that rear MGU-K deployment on the straights, became decisive in races like the German Grand Prix. Hamilton's ability to extract maximum power from the battery pack on the straights, combined with perfect breakpoint management to harvest energy into corners, gave him an edge that helped him clinch the championship by 5 points. Or look at Abu Dhabi 2010, the final race of the season, when Fernando Alonso and Ferrari were pushing hard against Sebastian Vettel's Red Bull. While Vettel's car had a hybrid advantage in energy deployment, it was the mastery of when to harvest and when to save that mattered. Teams that understood their battery management window could take risks others couldn't. But perhaps the clearest example is the 2017 and 2018 championships, when Mercedes' superiority with hybrid battery management. Their engineers had perfected how to keep that battery temperature in the sweet spot lap after lap, without throttling back. Let Hamilton and Bottas dominate. It wasn't just the engine power, it was the reliability and precision of the entire ERS system working in perfect harmony. The thing is, all 10 teams have the same basic hybrid architecture, the same 4 megajoule limit, the same regulations. What separates a championship team from the rest is software, sensor optimization, and driver technique. It's invisible to the spectator, but it's absolutely tangible on the timing sheets. When a driver executes the perfect lap in a modern F1 car, they're not just managing throttle, brakes, and steering inputs, they're managing a fourth dimension, electrical energy. That's the hidden sophistication of Formula One today. Now, let's play a thought experiment for a moment, and stick with me here, because this will show you just how radical hybrid power has become in Formula One. Imagine we took a modern Mercedes, Red Bull, or McLaren and stripped out the entire hybrid system tomorrow. The MGU-K, the MGU-H, the battery, all of it. We'd be left with a pure internal combustion engine producing around 850 horsepower. On paper, that doesn't sound so bad, right? That's still an enormously powerful engine.
But here's where it gets interesting. That same car, fully hybrid and optimized, produces effectively 1,050 horsepower when everything is deployed perfectly.
That's 200 extra horses, roughly 20% more power. Now, think about this. In modern Formula One, the gap between first and second place in a championship fight often comes down to just a few tenths of a second per lap, sometimes less. A hybrid advantage of that magnitude isn't a novelty. It's a game changer. That extra energy on the straights, that precision harvest in the braking zones, that battery capacity reserved for the final lap. It's not just theory anymore. It's won championships, it's broken records, and it's fundamentally changed how drivers think about a lap. It makes you wonder, in an era where regulations could hypothetically ban hybrid systems, would we even recognize Formula One as we know it today?
So let's land on the 3 big takeaways you need to remember about hybrid power in Formula One.
First, the system isn't one thing. It's the marriage of 3 technologies working together. The MGU-K harvests energy under braking. The MGU-H does the same at the turbo, and the battery stores it all for deployment when it matters most. Second, that energy translates to real performance. We're talking an extra 200 horsepower compared to a pure combustion engine. And in Formula One, that's the difference between championships won and lost. And third, this is engineering at its absolute peak. Every decision, every kilowatt, every millisecond of deployment shapes not just a season, but how the entire sport evolves. Now, I'd love to know what caught your attention today. Which part of the hybrid puzzle fascinates you most? The MGU-H's incredible efficiency, the strategy of battery deployment, or something else entirely? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're hungry for more about how modern F1 really works, hit that subscribe button. We've got plenty more under the hood to explore together.